The pricing bit is definitely very important considering how your costs are aligned and how the competitor prices are aligned. A large part is also on how you are communicating the price to the customers.
Coffee's for closers only.
So we've established my proposal is sound in principle. Now we're just haggling over price.
Let's see how much we're going for on eBay.
Man, it's the same as Dunkin' Donuts. Costs 15 times the price.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Jennings Executive Search. I had a great conversation with John Jennings about the skills needed in different pricing roles. He and I think a lot alike. If you're looking for a new pricing role, or if you're trying to hire just the right pricing person, I strongly suggest you reach out to Jennings Executive Search. They specialize in placing pricing people. Say that 3 times fast. Welcome to Impact Pricing, the podcast where we discuss pricing, value, and the hand-in-hand relationship between them. I'm Mark Stiving, and our guest today is Ankur Barot. And here are 3 things you want to know about Ankur before we start. He is the manager of strategic initiatives at BigBasket. He is an e-commerce expert. And surprisingly, he transitioned from engineering into business. Oh, and he's even a fan of Korean drama, even though he's Indian. Welcome, Ankur.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, how did you get into pricing? Or do you even think that you're in pricing?
So my role currently is strategic initiative, but I have kind of worked majorly on pricing bit, where I have kind of worked on how we can drive revenue through pricing, as well as how can we become profitability and how can we work towards profitability in the e-commerce world. So I started my career working in marketing front, and then slowly I kind of moved into P&L management, that is profit and loss management, where I worked majorly on driving how can we drive the top line revenue using the pricing bit as one of the key drivers, and also making sure that we are generating enough margins to become profitable.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I think pricing relates to almost everything in a business. And so if we're not focused somehow on pricing and the value and how we're going to get it from our customers, we're leaving a lot of money on the table. So you work at a company called BigBasket. Can you tell us, what does BigBasket do and why is it unique?
So BigBasket is an e-commerce company which is majorly focusing on grocery in India. And it is the largest company in the e-commerce platforms, which almost drives close to around 800 million revenue per year. And it was the first of pioneer which started Indian groceries and brought online platforms as well as brands online in terms of the grocery segment for India. Slowly and gradually post-COVID, we kind of boomed, and we kind of succeeded in driving the overall business in e-commerce world for India. And now it has kind of uniquely placed where we are kind of there in the online platform. We started slotted deliveries, where we started with 3 to 4 days orders being kind of delivered after 3 to 4 days. Then we now are slowly transitioning to a Q-commerce world as well, where across the globe you might see that the quick commerce industry has kind of come up, where we deliver the orders in 10 to 15 minutes. We at BigBasket as well has kind of transitioned to that, where we deliver in 30 minutes. Apart from that, we have also kind of started few other lines of business, be it offline channel as well as we have started BB Instant, where we kind of have specific kiosks being placed within societies as well as corporate offices in India, where the customers can directly buy them from there. Apart from that, it has been kind of very recently acquired by the Tata Group. So it is kind of now a big transition to the e-commerce world that India is seeing, as well as we as are definitely one of the pioneers in the grocery industry.
So you're saying that Tata recently bought BigBasket?
Yes, yeah.
Nice. I believe it or not, I had a chance to teach for Tata a couple times. It was pretty fun and interesting. Not the e-commerce grocery side, I'll assure you of that. So it was pretty fun. Now, I think COVID helped every company that did delivery, right? So Amazon and, the restaurant, Uber Eats and DoorDash, and this is in the US, right? And so I'm sure in India it was very, very similar. It gave you a chance to just explode in growth if you were the only ones doing it.
Yeah, so here before COVID, we were kind of placed in a situation where we were the only company which was operating during COVID. And we also kind of grew like almost 10x, 20x during COVID, where customers were kind of looking for online platforms to deliver basic groceries. So we definitely grew up, and post COVID also we kind of bought in new set of customers who had kind of continued ordering on BigBasket as well. So definitely COVID helped our business grow, as well as we saw a huge amount of customer change as well in terms of behavior. Customers are kind of now accustomed to the online platforms and ordering in India as well. So you can definitely say we kind of grew more than 3x to 5x due to COVID.
Yeah.
And that has kind of been a story that is kind of a great shift in terms of getting new customers.
Out of curiosity, did you lose many customers once COVID relaxed and people were allowed to go back and shop in stores again?
So here we did not. We kind of did not lose a large chunk of customers. Definitely customers somewhat transitioned to, or for few basic add-on orders or few frequency-led items were kind of transited to the offline markets once the offline channels were open and shops and stores were open in their locality. But we saw that a large chunk of customers are still continuing with us and ordering on the platform due to the customer service that we have kind of kept as a standard and maintained, and we have kind of brought that customers to the platform as well.
Yeah, what's funny is you can almost imagine that COVID was a forced trial where people had to use you because they didn't have a choice. And so once they used you and had a chance to try you out, they said, "Hey, that's easier, more convenient. I like it. I'm going to stick with it." So it's kind of an interesting concept from that perspective.
Yes, definitely an interesting perspective where Indian market seems to be such that they are kind of more price led and price driven and very, very elastic to the pricing bit. So be it price in offline channels or customers switching in terms of different players as well while looking out for promotions or discount. Customers are kind of very much non-loyal to a brand when we kind of come to say and look at a specific Indian market. So there as bit, they found convenience and value in terms of ordering on BigBasket. And then we also worked very, very specifically in terms of building a bit in terms of how the customer experience is, as well as specific to grocery where you have items like fruits and vegetables being bought by the customer. So with the customer kind of having an assurance from BigBasket, yes, the quality what I am expecting is definitely going to come from BigBasket, and we will kind of definitely deliver on that. So that trust building kind of happened during COVID and post COVID as well. Once that trust is built, they are kind of as in accustomed to BigBasket and on the platform and ordering on BigBasket.
Nice. So let's talk. Let's twist this and talk about pricing and promotions for a second. And is there an interesting promotion in this world of e-commerce and online delivery that you found and been able to implement that we may not have thought
of? So yeah, I'll take you through an interesting case study in terms of how pricing has been working out in specifically grocery and within India. So we kind of are very, very traditionally accustomed to specific fruits and vegetables, as well as few items where the customer will definitely kind of look upon different portals before buying a product. So be it low product value or a high product value, the customer is definitely kind of looking on different platforms and monitoring and assessing the platform based on the promotions that they are kind of running or what kind of pricing that the platform is offering. And then here with India, we had a large number of players entering in the market in terms of e-commerce, where they kind of started with free deliveries as well, and giving high discounting on specific products, as well as overall platform was kind of trying to gauge and bring in the first time user through discounting. So here, what we kind of had learned, as in through our existence of almost close to around 10 years, that pricing is definitely one bit that kind of works very well when you are kind of price competitive with the competition. Your pricing is on par with the competition. But apart from that, a large chunk is also kind of dependent on how your assortment is, how is the availability of the products that kind of builds the basket for the customer. Apart from that, also in terms of how you are pricing the convenience charge, in terms of the delivery fee that you are kind of charging to the customer. So it is not about only the product pricing that the e-commerce portal has. It is an overall other parts of the chain that will kind of bring and place an order, a customer place an order on your platform. So a large chunk is kind of being dependent on the pricing bit. But apart from that, there are kind of parameters or assessments or different aspects the customer is kind of considering before placing an order. So this learning that we got kind of helped us, because we were traditionally, when we started, we were kind of actually having a large chunk of assortment, as well as we were kind of delivering after 2 days, 3 days post the order is being placed. So to bring that assortment down on a lower side, as well as to kind of reduce and be closer to the customer, to bring in and deliver quicker to the customer, we kind of started doing and experimenting on other aspects of business. But we kind of learned that pricing plus the stock availability, as well as assortment, as well as how you are kind of charging the convenience fee, the overall, all these aspects will kind of decide whether the customer is kind of placing an order on your platform or not.
So that makes all the sense in the world, because you think about all of the other issues. So how fast is the delivery going to be? How big is the assortment? What are the things you can choose from? So those are, let's call those value features or capabilities of your company relative to a competitive alternative. And then when we think about price, there's actually two different prices we have to deal with. One is what's the price of the product, and the other is what's the price of the delivery, right? What are we going to charge you as a delivery fee? And what I find fascinating about this problem, and I don't know if you've thought about this, and I'd love to hear how you think about this, is I've got at least two different decisions my buyers are about to make. One is, are they going to shop at my platform or someone else's platform? And then the second one is, once they've chosen my platform, how do I get them to choose the right object so that I make more money? So how did you think about those two different questions? And let's just deal with the first one first. How do we get them to our platform instead of a competitor's platform?
So while working on, as in the platform that we are kind of looking at, so here it's kind of a pathway that the customer is kind of going through. So what are the prices that you have at a product level, and then deciding on their basket. First thing is how they build their basket and what are the products that they are definitely going to buy for. So understanding the customer behavior and assessing the customer and kind of having a sense that which customer is kind of are probably going to definitely buy on their basket. So there are like key value items, right? For any retailer that we look for. So your staples, like in terms of be it oil, rice, or probably be the basic fruits and vegetables or onions or very, very basic things which you are kind of having on your platform. And out of the 100% of the customers, 80 to 90% customers will definitely buy that product. So
nice. So let me pause you for just a second. Ankur. So I think what you're saying is that, if 80%, 90%, 100% buy these staples all the time, it's likely that they know the prices. So when we have a high price, it looks like a high price. And if we have a low price, it looks like a low price. And so we can look like a low price retailer if we have low prices on these common items, on these staples, essentially. And it has everything to do with, do our customers know what price they should be paying, or do they have a reference price for those objects?
Yeah, so there are two aspects to this. One is how the price is currently, your price is with your competitor, what other aspects they are kind of checking in terms of deciding and keeping it as a reference with your versus the competitor. Apart from that, it is a kind of a long-term perspective if we think for is the perception building. So if you look at globally, when you see a company like Walmart, which had a long-term perspective and a definite idea where they are kind of saying everyday low pricing. So they're kind of building a long-term perspective that they are the cheapest across all the platforms that or all the companies that the customer is looking or comparing for. But at the back end, what the company or what we are kind of trying to do is select our key value items which the customer will remember the prices for, and will definitely build a long-term perspective that they are the cheapest among all the competitors. So it's more working with the customers in terms of understanding what they need and what they think of our pricing, and making sure that we kind of build that perspective in a long-term perspective, so that they kind of definitely think of us when they are kind of thinking of buying any product, as well as they think that we are among the cheapest as compared to all the competitors.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely brilliant. Now, if I were to take this a step further, do you charge different prices to different customers? So, for example, if I have a single customer who shops with me every week, and I know they always buy these 10 items, and then there's a miscellaneous other set of items, I can imagine how I would make sure those 10 items were always very inexpensive. So anytime they went and looked somewhere else, it's like, oh, I got the price and I get it cheapest here. But the other items have much higher margins on them because they don't know the prices, they don't know the competitors' prices, and they don't buy them that often, so they wouldn't.
Yeah, so definitely in India, if you look at last 3 to 5 years, there has been kind of online competition as well as competitors building proper sophisticated back-end systems to kind of monitor the pricing with the competitors. So where we kind of actually monitor what is our pricing with respect to the competitors, as well as there is a systematic pattern in terms of understanding which are the key value items and how do you want to price yourself as compared to the other competitors. And here, we definitely don't try and kind of go with a pattern where we kind of segment the prices for a specific set of customers, but we do run promotions specific to customers where we are trying to understand and get a sense that whether they are kind of are willing to pay for a certain thing at a certain price or not. So we try to, as in, bring them on our platform, try to gauge their understanding, as well as we try to understand how much are they willing to pay for a particular product. Apart from that, this is kind of more working towards the basic key items that the customers are kind of definitely going to buy. A large part of working also is being done in terms of understanding the long tail set of SKUs, which are our high margin set of SKUs. So how do we kind of make sure that the customer is building and using and buying this product in their overall basket? How do we kind of place them in our overall assortment? So while definitely there were ways in the offline market where you could actually see chocolates being kind of placed near the billing counter, as well as few key items you might have forgotten being placed at your exit or during the billing process, where you would definitely go and buy them. There has been kind of development in terms of how, as in your product or the app is kind of built out, that which are the key items that the customer might have forgotten and they might kind of like to add them in their basket. So there has been kind of development on that part as well. So yeah, definitely some interesting work being done on that piece.
That's kind of interesting. So what you're doing is you're saying, when I walk out of a grocery store and I see the aisle at the cash register, I can buy my candy bars and my chocolates and stuff. And so this is this spontaneous acquisition, right? We didn't really want it, but we bought it. And you're finding ways in e-commerce to do essentially the same thing. And so it could be related to what's already in their shopping cart. It could be related to past behavior. So you're just testing them to see, hey, do you really want a candy bar when you're checking out? And so then I can offer that to this specific customer.
Yeah, yes, yes. Apart from that, we also kind of try and understand that what is the last order that you had placed, and then what are the supplies that you might need a refill for. So we kind of try and assess that. We try and kind of showcase the SKUs and the products that you might be kind of not having as of now, or you might have used up till now, and we kind of keep on suggesting and probably price them better as well, so that you come back to the platform and kind of get hooked onto the app as well.
Yeah. And so I asked this question, but I'm not sure that you answered it, or I don't think you answered it the way I thought. Do you charge different prices to different customers?
Yeah. So we do definitely do that. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So that gives us a lot of flexibility and things that we can do, which is really fascinating. Oh my God, my head's spinning with all of the different ideas that I want to go try now. So I could imagine that you can watch a single customer's behavior on a single type of product. Let's call it milk. And so they go through 2 gallons of milk or 4 liters of milk a week. And we know that this shopper buys from us always and never goes to our competition. So this type of shopper, we still want to keep those comparable prices low, but we can probably inch prices up a little bit over time because we know they're a loyal customer of ours. Is that something you guys consider?
So we kind of consider it as an overall lifetime value of the customer as well. So what frequency they are buying at, what is the overall order that value that he's kind of looking for. Apart from that, whether he's kind of buying a set of custom items which are kind of actually on a low margin part, or he's kind of definitely buying it in a mix of things where he's kind of getting an average order value, a good average order value, as well as he's working and buying all the complete set of basket. Because at India, we kind of see customers specifically buying only few select items which are actually on discount on our platform. So definitely we monitor them. We understand how the pricing is kind of working on that set of products, as well as what we kind of normally do is we kind of assess them, and we kind of don't as in reduce the discounting for a customer, but we definitely keep a close eye on them as how they are kind of assessing and moving in terms of our price perception, as well as what is their say in terms of our margins as well. So while at India, we kind of saw a good as in 5 to 6 year period where all the e-commerce companies were kind of getting very good funding in terms of venture capital coming in, as well as the customers were kind of spoiled for choice. So large customers were kind of looking at different companies and getting those good discounts as well. But now with as in almost inflation coming in, as well as when we see the funding market being drying up across the world, we are kind of seeing that the discounting has slightly now reduced across all companies. And we as a competitor, we are kind of always monitoring how the customer is kind of doing. So gradually all companies are trying to kind of move into a direction where we are kind of just going for growth, not looking at the bottom line in terms of margin. But now across the industry, what we are kind of seeing, everyone is kind of assessing them and also working on their bottom margins, as well as getting good sustainable growth, which will kind of not get haywire or not going very high in terms of discounting.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating, because you can imagine when we're trying to grow an industry, everybody's pricing as competitively as they can to gain market share. But once they have to be profitable and they can't just lose money to gain share, then we've got to figure out how we can do it sustainably. You're absolutely right. How do you find the prices of your competitors' products?
So here, we kind of in India specifically, we kind of have build out systems at backend, as well as there are competitor monitoring channel partners as well. So they would kind of assess what the competitors are kind of doing in terms of pricing as well as how they are priced, what's their assortment. So there are kind of systematic things that are being kind of done in terms of understanding the competitor. So India being a large set of cities, so here, while I am kind of working on tier one and tier two segments, uh, cities in India. So with grocery being very, very local in nature, the segment or the products which are kind of sold in the north are kind of very, very different as compared to the south. So here a local assessment is being kind of done in terms of what products are being carried by the competitor offline. People do kind of visit uh, competitors offline, as well as we kind of do market research in terms of understanding the customer behavior and talking to the customers as well, that which are the key products that you kind of like to have in their basket, and what are the key items which sell well in your specific city, which are kind of very, very local to you. So we kind of gauge an understanding of the city as well as how the consumer is kind of behaving. Apart from that, a large part of learning can be definitely done from the competitors as well, like what is the assortment that they are carrying. Apart from that, what is the pricing like for the competitors as well.
Yeah. So I can imagine how it would benefit the entire industry to have a centralized data warehouse where everybody puts their information in and allows everybody to have access to it. But I could also see how governments might consider that collusion and not allow you to do that.
Yeah. So I think it's more of an probably company based thing where people kind of try and assess the competition, how they are kind of doing. So it is not very regulated, or uh, probably just learning through the competitors and understanding through them. Apart from that, when we kind of look at the grocery market in India, so there are private labels as well as there are branded products as well. The branded product is kind of definitely coming through a huge brand like HUL or PNG, where they are kind of as in just pushing the product from them to us, and they kind of keep a close eye on the online as well as the offline players, how they are kind of priced, because for them, giving an advantage to any particular competitor, be it online or offline, is kind of definitely shifting the customer from one pocket to another. So they kind of try to avoid any kind of disturbance or disruption by any player in terms of pricing. Yeah, definitely. While a new entrant, if they are coming into the market, they might probably put in some add-on money from their pocket in terms of discounting. But that too is kind of being regulated by the brands in terms of how much discounting you can do, and how much can you disrupt the market in terms of gaining the market share as well.
Nice, Ankur. This has just been a ton of fun. I appreciate it, but we're gonna have to start wrapping it up. I'm gonna ask you the final question.
Sure.
What is one piece of pricing advice you'd give our listeners that you think could have a big impact on their business?
So I think the pricing bit is definitely very important, considering how your costs are aligned and how the competitor prices are aligned. A large part is also on how you are communicating the price to the customers. So this customer the communication part, I'm saying from the B2C front, where you are kind of communicating to the end customer, and the customer is deciding on buying the product or not. So there, what I see is how you communicate the price to the customer. What is the time of communication? What is the medium or the channel of communication in terms of the price? Definitely, kind of decides whether the customer is kind of buying it or not.
Nice. Can you give us an example of a time where you've used this to your advantage?
So I'll give you an example where we kind of brought in a large amount of traffic during the non-peak seasons. So we had kind of done a promotion in terms of specifically ordering on snacks and branded food as well as beverages. So here despite kind of having these products on our platform where the customer is kind of definitely coming and buying, we actually found out a specific period of time when the customers are actually on their mobile, a push notification communication to the customer with a specific product being highlighted that they are kind of probably looking or thinking of during that period kind of drives an organic traffic of a very large chunk coming and ordering that product to us. So understanding that thing has kind of helped us in terms of how this channel is kind of working, as well as what is the key product that you want to kind of approach to the customer with at what price. So we kind of almost brought in like 50 to 30%, 50 to 60% additional traffic by doing this specifically.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I can imagine how that would work for a candy bar, right? I'm in the mood for a candy bar. You got me in the right spot. But even if I ordered a candy bar, I don't get it for, 20 minutes or until I'm home or something else. So it isn't an instantaneous satisfaction, and yet people would still buy more because they were thinking of it.
Yeah, yes.
That is fascinating. Awesome. Ankur, thank you so much for your time today. If anybody wants to contact you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so people can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Ankur Barot, they can find me on LinkedIn, and I work at BigBasket. So Ankur Barot BigBasket will kind of help them reach out to me on LinkedIn.
All right, and we'll have a link to your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as well, so people can find it. So thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, would you please leave us a rating and a review? The easiest way is to go to ratethispodcast.com/impact pricing. And finally, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast or pricing in general, feel free to email me, mark@impactpricing.com. Now, go make an impact. Thanks again to Jennings Executive Search for sponsoring our podcast. If you're looking to hire someone in pricing, I suggest you contact someone who knows pricing people. Contact Jennings Executive Search. Don't forget to attend our workshop, How to Fearlessly Raise Prices Now. Go to impactpricing.com/RPN.